I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Donald Trump went on his social media platform on Friday to claim that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is dropping all charges against him, which leads me to believe, based on the fact that Donald Trump lies about every single thing, that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is very close to bringing charges against Donald Trump. First and foremost, no charges have yet been brought against Donald Trump. Donald Trump has not been indicted by the Fulton County District Attorney, so there are no charges to even drop in the first place. And as I'll discuss in a little bit, Donald Trump said the exact same thing, almost word for word verbatim, about what he said on Friday with respect to the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg on March 26th. Donald Trump gave an interview on his plane to media outlets, and he said that all of the charges against him were dropped. Again, the charges hadn't been brought against him. And only 4 days later, on March 30th, the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg indicted Donald Trump on 34 separate felony counts of falsification of business records. Here, let's pull up the post that Donald Trump made. And I want to point out a few very specific things about the language that he uses here, because it also, to me, shows that he's getting increasingly desperate and is being advised by his lawyers where he has massive criminal exposure. Here's what Donald Trump writes. He goes, "I predict that the racist district attorney in Atlanta with the per capita worst crime record in the country, Fani Willis, where murderers get away with murder and are seldom charged and almost never prosecuted, will be dropping all charges against me for lack of a case. I made a," and he puts this all in caps, "perfectly legal phone call as President of the United States about an election that I strongly feel was rigged and stolen. None," still in caps, "of the many lawyers for whatever reasons in caps, on the call minded my words." None of the many lawyers on the call minded my words or even hinted at wrongdoing. Then he says, "Scam!" exclamation point. Well, if no charges are going to be brought, which he's just completely lying about here, then why would you say scam exclamation point? But did you notice in what he wrote, he says the words, about an election, he goes, "that I strongly feel was rigged and stolen." That is a change in how he discusses his lies about election fraud that didn't take place. In the past, he would say there is election fraud and he would just spread lies about it. Here he goes, "I strongly feel." And he's basically trying to set up there, you see where he's going, with the defense that he just felt a certain way. That was his strongly held view. It may not be the reality, but that was just his opinion of things. You see the cowardice in that? And by the way, that defense is not going to fly at all. And it's not like Special Counsel Jack Smith and Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis don't have all of the other statements that he's made where he says definitively that there was fraud and that was why he lost, and all of these bogus allegations about Dominion and Smartmatic and all the other crazy conspiracy theories and dangerous conspiracy theories he personally spread to try to overthrow our democracy. Going into the language, the first part of this grammatically horrific sentence or paragraph is all a lie. I predict your prediction's wrong. Then he talks about Fani Willis, where murderers get away with murder and are seldom charged and never prosecuted. That is false. This idea that she'll be dropping all charges against him for a lack of case, as I said at the outset of the video, there aren't even charges to drop yet. The case hasn't been filed. The grand jury hasn't indicted yet. That just simply hasn't taken place. We've talked about the time frame where we believe Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is going to get this indictment of Donald Trump. We believed that to always be late July, early August because Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has told the Fulton County Sheriff's Department to be prepared for a high-profile arrest and arraignment and indictment around that period. Fani Willis had representatives at the Miami federal courthouse for the arraignment of Donald Trump to try, in connection with special counsel Jack Smith's criminal charges against Donald Trump, federal criminal charges, to observe how security was being conducted there. So this statement is completely and utterly false by Donald Trump. Then when he goes, I made a perfectly legal phone call as president of the United States about an election that I strongly feel was rigged and stolen. None of the many lawyers on the call minded my words or even hinted at wrongdoing. Another tactic of Donald Trump, which is to blame the lawyers and blame everybody else. It was their fault. If they were really serious about it, they would have told me what I was doing was wrong. And nobody told me what I was doing was wrong. By the way, throwing his own lawyers under the bus as well. That will be part of what his defense is. It's not a valid defense, but he's going to say, it's my lawyer's fault. They didn't even tell me what I was doing was wrong. So all of Trump's lawyers out there, you know what MAGA stands for? Make attorneys get attorneys. And by the way, he's lying. I'm not going to play that call again where he threatens Brad Raffensperger, extorts Raffensperger. Find me 11,780 votes or else, Brad. Bad things can happen to you. You can listen to the recording for yourself. But Brad Raffensperger and everyone on Raffensperger's side say that's inappropriate, that's false, and you are wrong. In Donald Trump's world, I guess you have to throw ketchup at a wall or you have to scream and act like a maniac, and that's the way you show disagreement with something. But no, in adult world, Raffensperger said, that's inappropriate, you're wrong, you're not telling the truth, what you're asking me to do is improper. And the other people on Raffensperger's side, by the way, Raffensperger's a Republican. Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, is a Republican. But as I mentioned, all of the media, including us here at the MeidasTouch Network, like look at Newsweek, are all saying the fact that Donald Trump wrote this is a sign that he's likely going to be indicted soon. Newsweek. Donald Trump sparks suspicion he's about to be indicted again. And to remind you, on March 26, 2023, here's what the New York Post said. This is from March 26, just 4 days before Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg indicted him. Trump claims Manhattan District Attorney Bragg has already dropped the case against him. Sound familiar?
¿Estás disfrutando de mi podcast? Thanks to Babbel, I know what that means. Do you? 1 in 5 Americans have learn a new language on their bucket list. Now, if that's you, check it off the list this summer with Babbel. Because with Babbel, you start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. That's right. This summer, you can start speaking a new language with Babbel. Now, why Babbel? Because it works. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars for a private tutor or fooling yourself with language apps that are a little more than just games, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are designed by over 150 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Babbel is designed by real people for real conversations. All of Babbel's tips and tools for learning a new language are approachable, accessible, rooted in real-life situations, and delivered with conversation-based teaching. Babbel's courses are super convenient. They've helped me learn real-life conversation skills on my schedule. Now I'm going on vacation later this year, and I definitely feel more confident in my Spanish-speaking abilities for the most everyday and important tasks, like ordering food or asking for directions, you name it. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology, this helps you improve your pronunciation and accent, an absolute game changer. Studies from Yale, Michigan State University, and others continue to prove that Babbel is better. For instance, one study shows that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. With over 10 million subscriptions sold, Babbel is real language learning for real conversations. Now, here's a special limited time deal for our listeners to get you started right now. Get 55% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/Meidas. Get 55% off at babbel.com/Meidas, spelled BABBEL.com/Meidas. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Goes on to say, Former President Donald Trump claims that Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has dropped an investigation to him over the hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels. Quote, "I think they've already dropped the case," Trump said. "It's a fake case. Some fake cases. They have absolutely nothing." Trump didn't say what led him to believe he was off the hook. A spokesperson for Bragg, a Democrat, declined to comment Sunday on Trump's remarks, but pointed to an unrelated Saturday statement that referred to Daniels' hush money probe as an ongoing matter. Trump's remarks came a day after he sparked controversy with a social media post that showed him aiming a baseball bat at Bragg's head. He does so much ridiculous, horrific things. You almost like, oh yeah, remember that when he took a baseball bat photo of himself and showed a picture of him next to the Manhattan District Attorney? Yeah, that was just a few months ago. And then right around that time, remember, Trump posted this. "I have gained about the Manhattan District Attorney, about the grand jury process." He goes, "I have gained such respect for this grand jury," the one that ultimately indicted him, but this was before they indicted him. "I have gained such respect for this grand jury, and perhaps even the grand jury system as a whole. The evidence is so overwhelming in my favor and so ridiculously bad for the highly partisan and hateful district attorney that the grand jury is saying, 'Hold on, we are not a rubber stamp,' which most grand juries are branded as being. We are not going to vote against a preponderance of evidence or against a large numbers of legal scholars all saying there is no case here. Drop this sick witch hunt now." By the way, that's not what legal scholars were saying, and that's not what the evidence reflected. And 4 days later, the grand jury indicted Trump, and then Trump said this: "These thugs and radical left monsters have just indicated," he meant indicted, "indicated the 45th president of the United States of America and the leading Republican candidate by far for the 2024 nomination for president. This, all in caps, this is an attack on our country, the likes of which has never been seen before. It is likewise a continuing attack on our once free and fair elections. The USA is now a third world nation, a nation in seriously decline." So sad. And just the malignant narcissism there. Donald Trump believes that he is the nation, only he can fix it. And the malignant narcissism you saw in the previous post that, oh, the grand jury loves me, they all love me. No, you committed crimes over and over and over again. The grand jury is the one who indicts, not indicates. They're the one who indicts. And they are a grand jury of your peers who have heard and listened to the evidence and all found that you engaged in these crimes sufficient for you to be charged. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office and the grand jury in the Southern District of Florida and Special Counsel Jack Smith, where you got indicted there. So now indicted in state court in Manhattan, federal court by Special Counsel Jack Smith in Florida, and soon to be indicted, not indicated again, in Georgia in Fulton County. We've also reported here Special Counsel Jack Smith met with Brad Raffensperger over the past week. A voluntary interview. Raffensperger, again, Republican Secretary of State of Georgia, who Donald Trump threatened and extorted on that phone call to find 11,780 votes, cooperated with the January 6th committees, cooperating with Special Counsel Jack Smith, will be a witness against Trump in a future indictment there. Also, Raffensperger testified before the special grand jury by Fani Willis in Fulton County, Georgia. Update there. Rudy Giuliani, likely also to be indicted in Fulton County by Fani Willis, voluntarily agreed to speak with Special Counsel Jack Smith in a proffer agreement, cooperation agreement, where Giuliani would have been required to provide all of the information that he knew about Donald Trump's potential crimes. He couldn't hold back anything in a proffer session, so Giuliani cooperating, other critical people, Mark Meadows cooperating, Raffensperger cooperating, just reeks of desperation, Donald Trump with this post. But wanted to break down, this usually means indictment is coming. He lies about everything. And we'll keep you posted as we learn more. I'm Ben Mycelis from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, wherever you get audio podcasts. Subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast and hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. Have an excellent day.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.